Welcome back, Double Team fam. Another Vanilla Sunday. I'm in the same shirt as my last Vanilla Sunday, so don't judge. I recorded them the same day. Um, okay. Today's Vanilla Sunday is it's gonna be about doom scrolling because I don't know about you guys, but I go on TikTok and I go on Instagram and I watch like one, little doom and gloom video about the current political situation or something going on. And the algorithm figures that out, right? It gets me riled up. I'm looking at the comments. I'm like interacting with the whole thing. And then the algorithm's like, ooh, she wants to watch more videos about how much of a piece of shit Elon Musk is. So we're going to show you nothing but, all the shit that he's doing. So it it tends to start to breed like a really toxic environment when you go onto apps like TikTok or Instagram, which I would like to hope originally was just meant to like entertain people. You know, you go on Instagram or TikTok and you're there to like watch some funny videos, get some, creative ideas, maybe inspired by like whether that's fashion or art or music. I get so much of my music from TikTok. Or, maybe people showing you hacks and stuff, da 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 da. But like you have to really, at least what I've learned more recently, is as interesting as some of the like political or pop culture or clickbaity things may be, you have to really learn how to like interact with that content in a way that doesn't send your entire algorithm down a spiral that puts you in a place where now you look at the world and you're like, well, fuck, everything's going to go wrong. And I think it's very easy to do that, especially in today's climate. And so I've started working on a few ways to do that. And sometimes I still get caught up in it. So this is a work in progress, but it has helped. And I think, even just the awareness that like, okay, you're getting caught up in content that is not helping you live a happy and healthy life is a start. So, but just like here, my first tip would be, okay, you're scrolling through TikTok and Instagram. At some point, pause for a second and think to yourself, how am I feeling right now? Like, is my heart rate up? Am I getting angry? Am I so upset at what I just watched? Like, da 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 da. Like, how are you feeling? And sure, it's great to like educate ourselves with things that are going on in the world, especially things that are upsetting. It's great to have awareness around those things. However, pause and also think, okay, like, how am I feeling after watching this? Okay, whether you're riled up, you're angry, maybe you're happy, maybe it was a happy kitty video. Maybe you're at peace, maybe you laughed, whatever it may be. Take a moment to check in with your body and see how you're feeling. 2, whatever it is that you're feeling, is it within your sphere of influence to change whatever's going on in that video to help you feel better about the situation? And I think that has been like the biggest freaking thing for me to think about, because oftentimes I watch a video about something political that's upsetting and I get all riled up, and then I stop and I'm like, okay, now I'm all agitated and I'm pissed. And then I stop again and then I'm like, is there anything I can do about it? Probably not, because, at the end of the day, all we can do is just like go vote for representatives or, maybe donate to animal cruelty or like whatever it may be, whatever the topic is. Like, we can only do so much, and then the rest is really out of our hands. So while it's great to have awareness around everything that's going on in the world, like, we also have to realize that like as humans ourselves, individuals in our own worlds and communities can only do so much to help. Yes, we can band together with other people, we can go to groups, we can protest, we can gather, we can sign petitions, all of that, but even all of that goes to a certain extent. So I think you have to, take a moment and think about your sphere of influence and what you can do to help that situation so that you're not feeling that emotion. And again, I think that one's probably the hardest one to enact. And then 3, you've thought about, you've stopped, took stock of how you're feeling, figured out there's really not anything I can do about this right now. And so then the next step would be perspective. And I think this is where we really have to practice hope and faith and positivity and self-trust. And again, all of this is easier said than done because I fall victim to this all the fucking time. Um, and I noticed that it like really kind of started chipping away at my happiness, my quality of life. Cause now I'm looking at these TikToks of everything that's going on in the world. And I'm just like, oh my God, all this stuff going on with, in aviation, all of these things in the political climate, groups that are having rights stripped away, all these things. And it just really kind of puts you in a headspace where you feel hopeless, you feel helpless, and you feel like everything is just going to shit. But then, look at your immediate environment and what's going on around you. Like, are you building good friendships with your friends and your circle and your community? Are you happy, in your romantic relationships or with your family? Like, are you fulfilled in your hobbies? Like all those things. So it's like you almost have to learn to separate the collective from your day-to-day life and your own life, and realize that a lot of times, unfortunately, the two don't always mix. But obviously, like it can affect you at some point. I'm not saying that it never will, but you have to like just shift to the perspective that you are doing the best that you can in your environment. You are doing the best that you can to, be happy, better the world around you, make good decisions, whatever, if that's how you're operating in your life, which I hope it is. And shift to the perspective of, ensuring that you are really only worrying about what you can actually control. Because if you are so drained and bogged down by the things that are out of your hands, then, you're just ruining your own happiness, to be honest. And like I said, this is something I'm really working on because as of late, I feel like there's just been so much going on that it's normal to have like those feelings of like anxiety and worry and helplessness and out of control. Like I'm not going to sit here and, gaslight any of those emotions and say like, oh, you can't feel them, or like, oh, you'll never be affected by any of these things. What I'm saying is, get to a point where you can just regulate yourself so that you're not letting it get to you so much. But then also getting to a place where you trust yourself that no matter what comes of it, or, whatever you're faced with, like you have the self-trust and the self-love to know that like you'll get it handled, you'll get it taken care of, and, you'll do the best that you can. And I also understand that like saying all of this can come from a privileged place because some people are facing very real consequences of the things that are going on in the world right now. Absolutely. And that is very unfortunate. And, I hope that things get better and, as a collective, we can all get to a better place where, human rights and all of that, and the normal things that we should be afforded in this life are a reality. But at the same time, it's like, if it is not something that is directly impacting you, try not to let it impact you to a way that you are now kind of impeding on your own happiness and your own quality of life because of it. And that's a really hard place to be because I'm someone that like for example, when all the fires were going on in Los Angeles, like, and I heard of all these animals that, were having, they're lost, whatever, the shelters are overrun, We tried to do as much as we could. Like Cami and I volunteered to foster. We were about to go pick up a foster, but then they actually ended up shipping all of those animals to a sanctuary in Utah. And so like I was trying to do something there. Cami and I donated. I was out of town, so I didn't have a chance to kind of go to some of the, there were some more like local things going on in the community. I was really proud of my friends that were doing, things in the local community. But it, so it's kind of like, and then also we were like sharing and reposting, there was like a list going around of all the animals that were found, and then the ones that were lost. And so things like that. It's like you can do as much as you can, but then whatever is out of your control, you have to just kind of accept that it is something out of your control. So yeah, doom scrolling, if that's something that has become more prevalent in your life, if that's something that you find yourself guilty of doing more and more, try to practice that. Stop. Take a deep breath. Take a breather. Sometimes I have to remind myself to do that. Um, yeah, take a pause. Check in with your body. How am I feeling? What can I do about this feeling? Can I do anything in this present moment? And, third, perspective. Let's try to shift to a more positive, hopeful, trusting perspective. And like I said, that is the one that I tend to struggle with the most. But, for example, there's a lot going on with aviation right now, as we have seen in the news, which is very sad. As someone that's been in aviation, so I used to work for a company, for example, that was in aviation, and every year at the beginning of the year, we did what's called safety stand down. We went through like the top 10 aviation incidents of the year, and what happened, what went wrong. Like, we had some really amazing engineers and flight data specialists, whatever you want to call them, I don't even know, chief pilots, etc., that did a really good job at breaking down. I mean, I remember they had PowerPoints and graphs and the projected path and all of this. It was really fascinating to see all the numbers. They'd go through everything that went wrong in the flight that led to the accident, and then they would discuss ways that pilots can be more aware, to ensure that those mistakes don't happen again. And I thought that every year that safety stand down was really eye-opening. And, even though it was at times very scary to see and kind of a little bit anxiety inducing and all of that, again, it's I wasn't there. There was nothing I could have done about, any of those accidents. Yes, I travel a lot and fly all the time. The most I can do is just have a hopeful mindset, maybe do a little prayer, whatever you want, call on your higher powers for protection and hope for the best. And that is literally all you can do. Same with political stuff. You've done your job, you voted, hopefully, all of those things. Now all you can do is just watch, see how everything unfolds, and react accordingly in relation to how it may or may not affect you. So anyways, yeah. And, it's funny because I was having this conversation with my boyfriend, and he's someone that is just very good about being very hopeful and having a positive mindset. And I remember something that I found really interesting. He was like, if it's not directly impacting me, I just scroll right past it and I don't, pay attention to it. And I remember I was really thinking about that. And for a moment I sat there and I was like, on one hand, yes, that's incredibly privileged because not everyone has and not everyone has that privilege. Some people are very affected by, policies or things happening in the world, so, whatever. But on the other hand, I was like, that is also probably incredibly liberating in a lot of ways, and probably very, I would imagine having that kind of boundary with yourself of okay, if it's not if there's nothing I can do about it, I'm just going to move right past it, not give it any attention and not stress about it. Having that boundary with yourself probably really contributes to the quality of your life. You're not having anxiety about things you can't control. You're not worrying about things you can't control. And you're putting that boundary around yourself to ensure that your peace and happiness are protected. And that's something that I really kind of hope to do a little bit more. And I've started doing that now when I'm on TikTok. If it's something that I know is just going to put me in a bad mood and upset me, I just scroll right past it. If it's something that makes me happy, then I'll interact with it. I watch it, etc. Just because then I know the algorithm's going to know, okay, we're going to show her more of the things that make her happy rather than what makes her angry. And so I'm trying to curate a better algorithm for myself because I don't want to fall into this pit of despair of things I cannot control. So that would be my little tidbit when it comes to social media and ensuring that you are maintaining your peace and happiness. And I hope that helps. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.